Here to talk with you tonight about the Broward Park Library. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, David Wallach, who's here from the Brooklyn Public Library, also to talk about the library. Many of you may be familiar with this library. It is the Broward Park branch. It's on St. Mark's Avenue between New York and Nostrand. And about a year ago, the library came to us at Brooklyn Children's Museum and asked whether we had space for a library in our building. And in fact, we do have space for a library in our building. We currently have about 5,000 square feet of empty space in the back of the building, and our administrative offices are in 6,000, little over 6,000 square feet of space in the front of the building. At Brooklyn Children's Museum, we gave it some thought, and we came back to the library and said, yeah, we would like to talk about that. And part of the reason we wanted to talk about it was because the Brooklyn Children's Museum, many of you know, is the first children's museum in the world. The first children's museum in the world was founded in Crown Heights. And the museum, oh yes, that is, by the way, we call it Brooklyn's gift to the world. So, the museum always had a library on site, and some of you may remember the library. The library wasn't just a books lending library, it lent objects from our collection. We have a 30,000 object collection. It was an especially cool thing to have a library in this neighborhood that lent authentic collections objects. And it was sort of a dream of ours to go back to that. And so when the library came to us with this idea, we thought, yeah, this could be really amazing. This is an amazing opportunity. And I'm going to turn it over to David Wallach to talk a little bit about why the library came to us with this opportunity. But I want to also say one thing. This is not a done deal. This is not a done deal. We're coming to the community first because we value your input and because you are taxpayers who pay to have this museum in your neighborhood. This is your museum, and I very well know who kept this museum going all those years when it didn't have so many friends. It was this community. So we're here tonight to talk with you first because it's really important that the community feels comfortable with this, that the community understands this, and that the community is with us and able to give us feedback throughout this process. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to David Wallach.
Thanks, Stephanie. As Stephanie said, my name is David Wallach. I'm the Executive Vice President for External Affairs from the Brooklyn Public Library. So the reason we approached the museum is we have a great Broward Park branch. Morris Denmark, the librarian, is back there. It's actually our smallest branch in the system at a little over 6,000 square feet. It's been there since the early 60s. The challenge for us with that branch, and it's not unique to that building, it's actually an issue that we've experienced throughout the whole Brooklyn Public Library system, which has 60 branches, is the library in that building is in really bad shape. It has about 5.6 million in outstanding capital needs. So that branch, which opened over a half century ago, the early 60s, basically has not seen capital improvements since that time. And part of the challenge for us with this particular library is it's not a city-owned library like most of our libraries are. It's leased from a private landlord. The city has been reluctant to give us capital money to invest in a building that's not ours. So right now we have a building where the roof has leaked, the roof needs to be replaced. The HVAC system has started not to work, so actually over the winter we've had to install a temporary heating solution above the ceiling to make up for that. Basically all the infrastructure in this library needs to be replaced. So the challenge for us is, and we have issues like this at other branches around the city, we get about $15 to $20 million in capital funding from the city for the whole system. So here we have a building with about again, over $5 million in capital needs. To really make that kind of investment in that building, the city would want to purchase it, which would be another $3 million. So as we looked at that building and tried to figure out what can we do here, we recognized that we would need over $8 million to keep that building as a library for the community. We want to make sure we have a library in this community going forward. And as we grappled with this, we looked down the block, and there's another city institution right there that might have the answer to our challenge. And as we talked to the museum, what became particularly attractive to us wasn't just that they had space, it wasn't just that it was about the same amount of space, it's sort of the prime space in the building on Brooklyn, that fronts Brooklyn Avenue. It would give us an opportunity to build a separate entrance to the library and to have a library with a larger focus on children and families right next to the museum, which creates a lot of interesting opportunities for the library, for the museum, for the neighborhood in terms of that, in terms of a potential partnership. So Stephanie, I'll turn it back to you.
Just so everybody, most of you all know this, but the Brooklyn Children's Museum is owned by the City of New York. Our land and our building are owned by the City of New York. So one of the things we should all understand as we kind of make this decision is once the library comes to us, the library will be with us forever because the City of New York does not close libraries in city-owned buildings. And that's a commitment that I'm ready to make on behalf of the museum, that the museum staff is comfortable making, that I think is going to be a great thing. But we should just all understand this. There's kind of no going back. Once we do this, the library's with us. We're super excited about it, but we want to take your questions and your feedback, and ask us the hard questions. That's what we're here for. Oh, and by the end, I'll talk. Yes.
Okay, we're going to only take a few questions because we do have other business this evening. And if we need to, we will probably have a presentation coming to your committee so that people can come and answer additional questions.
That's great.
Sharon's raising her hand, Youth and Education Committee.
Okay, Sharon. Yes, I'm sorry. So if there's no going back and we relocate one entity into another entity, how does it constrain growth within the future?
I think that's a really great question. The question was, if we're moving this library into our building, how does that constrain growth in the future? Because we're actually consolidating two institutions into one space. And there's two things about that. One is the space that we're offering the library is currently not program space. So no children and families are using the space that we're offering. It's administrative offices, and we have a set of empty administrative offices in the back of the building. So this actually opens up 6,000 more feet of public space in our building. So for us, this is actually already a growth opportunity, although it's true that it's a net zero for the neighborhood, because it means that the library and the museum there's no additional space here. There's no less space, but there's no more space. I feel very confident that the museum will grow, and there are a couple of opportunities that we have out there. One is the City of New York has given us some money to build an auditorium at the museum, and that project is in process. That would open up another 5,000 square feet of space in our building, mostly for performances. The second construction project that we're doing is we are rebuilding the garden in the back of the museum, which has been closed for about 3 years. That will open up another 10,000 square feet of space at the museum. And the third opportunity, which is like really pie in the sky and the dream, right, is that eventually we could build on top of the roof of the museum and build up. Because we do have that ability on that flat roof space. There's about 20,000 square feet there. So there are opportunities to build at the museum, and if we decide that we want to advocate to the city for that, the city would probably provide the primary funding as they have in the past. But there are still growth opportunities there.
Mr. Patel, you have a question?
Yeah, you mentioned you have this, what, 300,000 collection, is that current?
30,000, yeah.
Your 30,000 unit item collection, is that currently housed on site, and will that be absorbed into the new space?
Yeah, our 30,000 object collection is currently housed on site. We actually have a state-of-the-art collection storage facility built for us by the city. The collection is an educational collection, and what that means is these are not the items that you would see at the Met. They are like the items that you would see at the Met. They are more valuable than the items that you would see at the Met when they are in the hands of children, but they are not inherently valuable in the way that things at some other museums are. So we can put them in the hands of children, and that's what's amazing about the collection. The collection won't entirely move into the library. It will probably stay primarily in our collection storage facility, but we will be moving some objects, I hope, into the library for display and some objects into the library for lending, primarily to educators in classrooms, so that when there is a unit, let's say, on sea life, we actually can send a classroom a box of objects that they can touch and feel and see up close that are about sea life.
Okay. The gentleman in front? Yes, sir.
Yeah, as I understand it, the new replacement library would be over 10,000 feet, so it would be over the recommended minimum size for a library. How much would you be expecting to spend to create the new space for that 10,000 plus square feet of space? And also, who's walking away with the abandoned real estate, which the BPL previously was taking development proposals for?
A lot of questions. We've never gotten development proposals for that site. There is no.
I'm going by the minutes.
There is no minimum size for a library. The size of the branch now is a little bit over 6,000 square feet. We would be moving into a library of comparable size. We think it will cost about $3 million to fit out the new library. So the comparison for us, and I think for the city, is $3 million versus the $8 million it would take to stay where we are. And if we went down that road, it would be $8 million to basically keep the library as it is, to fix all the infrastructure, but it would still be the same box of a library. One of the really attractive things to us with this opportunity is we have a chance to build a brand new 21st century library from the ground up within the museum, and it presents an opportunity to work with the community and find out from you what you want to see in your new library. That's something that we don't have the luxury to do, not just in our current Broward Park location, but throughout most of our systems. So this is a special opportunity that we have.
The lady against the wall?
Yes, so as someone who has lived in the community, literally right next to that library for over 35 years, I have to say I'm very disappointed that the library is moved. I just happened to find out about it from the Townline newspaper. I feel like we did not give adequate notice to the greater community about it, and that's something we want to keep in mind for future reference as you develop and make more plans. My questions are, first and foremost, can you divulge and share with us what is the financial benefit that the museum is receiving in detail from this deal in acquiring the library? That's question number one. Number two, you mentioned that there was a lot of repair, $8 million worth. I can tell you, I've been to that library probably every day for the past year almost, doing research. That is one of the most beautiful, well-kept, and I don't claim to be an architect, but I've also been to Franklin Library, I've been to the Bklyn Library. That is one of the most well-kept, well-heated, clean, beautiful. I will admit that what you said, it is old. But where's this $8 million cost of repair come from? Because I don't see it, and I'm there every day. The third thing is the decision. I know it's a lot, but I'm very frustrated. The decision to make it a family library. Again, having gone there almost every day for the past year, there are plenty of adults, overwhelming majority, with the exception of children coming from school, that utilize that library. So why make it a family library, as opposed to making sure it's a library that not only serves the Brooklyn Children Museum and the people who tend to go there with their kids, that group of people, but it also serves the adults in the broader Crown Heights community, the adults of color that come there and use it, not just the children and their parents that the library.
That's a really good question.
Oh, sorry. I have no problem.
We understand that you have a lot of questions. What we're going to be trying to do is set up a meeting in April 4th, specifically just to talk about the library. Because we understand it's a very emotional issue. We understand that a lot of people have used it over many years. So unfortunately, we only have time for one more question. And if you could answer her question briefly, because you had 3. So if you could at least answer 2 parts. And in this time, will be the very last question. And Ms. Wedderburn will be having this at her meeting, so everybody can come and ask all their questions that they need to ask.
I'll just take the very first part of that question because I have no problem divulging the financial deal here. The library is paying us slightly below market rent for this space, and that would be per square foot $37. It's a total of roughly $230,000 a year. And I just want to say one thing about that. I have a fiduciary responsibility to my organization to make sure we are financially stable. And one of the ways we can make sure we're financially stable is by making sure that when we have partnerships like this, both organizations have skin in the game. So it was very important to me that we do it just exactly that way. It is going to make the museum stronger, and it is, I think, commensurate to what the library is paying now.
Exactly. It's about the same as what we're paying in rent plus the taxes that we have to pay, because the lease we have is triple net lease. Can I just ask one other question, because it's really important? As Stephanie said in the beginning, this is not a done deal. We don't have the capital funding for this work yet, which we would like to get, and we've only begun discussions with the community. We're looking forward to coming back. So this is by no means a done deal. We're beginning the process of speaking with as many people as we can.
Ms. Tyus?
I have one final question from a neighbor with a very young child. Will facilities be accessible?
Well, yes, the museum is ADA accessible, but actually part of the capital funding we're asking for is to increase accessibility and think a little bit more about that, and also increase accessibility for seniors who may be coming. We know that there are seniors who are coming to this library.
So I just wanted to say one word. Tuesday, April 4th, we're going to have a meeting to discuss this item and this item only at my meeting. We meet at the Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, 727 Classen Avenue at 7 o'clock. Those of you who have participated in my committee know that we run a tight ship, timely, so come with your questions enumerated, okay? All right, we're going to have fun because they say that nothing's written in stone. So we definitely want to have the opportunity for community input. Those of us who have long-term institutional memories.
I know that there'll be a separate entrance for the library, but will there be access to get into the museum?
There will be access for staff, but not for, there's not going to be like a hallway that I'm just going to say 2 quick more things that are not about the library. Number 1, many of you know we've run a free after-school program for many years. The museum runs it at PS 189, which is on East New York Avenue. Applications are open right now. They are open through March 12th. It is a lottery. We can take 100 kids. Apply. It's a great program. It's completely free. It's childcare from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Great museum educators. We use objects from the collection in all of the programs. We do STEM programs, and we do field trips. So please do go on our website and bring down and I'm going to say one more thing because Mr. Staten asked me to, and that is that we have asked the federal government, I know, we've asked the federal government for a bunch of money to bring a planetarium to the museum, and some of you who have memories, long memories, know that the museum did have a planetarium in the 60s and 70s. We have not had that planetarium for a long time. We would like to bring that planetarium back, as well as a second smaller planetarium that we can actually carry to schools with us. So we are actively fundraising for that. We want to make that happen. I just wanted to report on it because I know it's important to a lot of you who remember the planetarium.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to begin with our action items.
Libraries are holy places, secular and sacred spaces, everyone knows. They foster unity, community, friends and opportunity, everyone knows. But libraries now are no longer safe. Real estate moguls claim them and maim them, slice them and dice them, profits entice them. Crises like these take courage to face. They take unity, community, friends and opportunity. Everyone knows.